Hello and welcome to another Raggy's homebrew review, but also a bit of a catch up from a video that I put out the other night. So this is the Muntons American Flagship Amber Ale, and doesn't that look good now? Gotta be honest, lovely amber colour, a little bit of a white head going off. Nice fruity aroma to it. Nice bit of a twang, nice bit of fruity in the taste, and bloody hell, gotta be honest, I'm actually well impressed with that. Not a sign of home brewiness or sugar or anything like that. And I actually brewed this a little bit weaker because, like a prat, I didn't read the instructions. I put more in than I should have, more water. But so it came out at just over 4%, which isn't a problem. It's just means it's more sessionable. So the other day, obviously, I put out that video, and I must admit, things got to me, and I'd actually not had a drink before I had a drink. I know people say a lot of it's down to anxiety because of drink. Maybe so, maybe it is. I don't know. I think drinking too much is definitely not a good thing, obviously. But regardless, so before I put the video out, on that night of putting the video out, we decided that put some holidays in the next day. Couple of days holiday, not too long, because it's the wrong time of the year for me as a gardener to take holidays, simply because everything needs watering and it's so damn warm and things are growing. Autumn and winter are my best times to take a good bit of holiday. One, because it's cold and bloody wet, and anyway, so yeah, much better placed than I was the other day. And yeah, and sometimes I'm my own worst enemy, because I let things get to me in mental health, and small things can become a mountain, and ignoring poison and toxic people is paramount to that. However, it's not always as easy said than done in a work setting. Whereas in that same work, in any work setting, whereas something may seem very trivial, the fact of the matter is, when something's happened, and on a day where you let it get to you, then it can become more of a thing than it really is. I mean, it's just, in a lot of ways, something happened and it was just petty, childish and petty on their side, and they've got to live with themselves for the petty actions, and karma always comes round, always. People who think they can go through life with no karma, yeah, well, we'll see. So, much better placed than the other night. I let it get to me the other night a bit, stressed up, let it get to me. And I know I'm stronger than that. I am super strong when I want to be. And yeah, it is what it is, I suppose. Sometimes you do. Sometimes as strong as you are, something can just press those buttons, and not letting people being able to press the buttons. And I know this because I certainly can press people's buttons myself if I really want to. And instead of letting something slide in future, looking and going, why have you done this? Best thing for me to do is just stick it in the chat that I have on both sites with the site manager and the owner, and then it's up to them to do something. Yeah, I think that's the only way to win, is to put it in that chat so they know I know, and I know they know, and then leave it at that. And if they're strong enough, they'll do something. If they're not strong enough, then they won't. And this was a problem with Nottingham Park Estate, where a weak line of managers didn't stop somebody from doing whatever he liked, and got away with murder, and it created a beast. And I see the same things there, although that person was something different altogether. You know, a very, very different person, but a lot of the characteristics are the same. And you know, and people can make themselves out to be the most helpful person in the world, when truly they are not, and there's an agenda. And the sad thing is, with agendas, it seems there's a hell of a lot of people with agendas these days. Yeah, I don't know why, but there is. My agenda is just to go to work, do my work, and I'm done. Yeah, in any case, just looking at my beer wall behind me, and it's the Wilder beer that helps me, because it helps me talk about things whilst I'm doing a review. So, but in essence, much better position. Went out yesterday for a few beers, I had a few laughs as well. And I think half the time that's my problem as well. Sometimes, you know, you're on your own that much at work, and it's very hard to talk to work people enough to, you know, to get that going. It's funny, because working in Sainsbury's, talking to the public, it's actually good for your mental health to talk. Talking about your problems is always king anyway. We know this. And it's always really difficult when you work on your own, so you're not talking to people. It can make it more of an issue in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, not much I can do about that, of course, but God, it's warm. Anyway, yeah, so this American Amber Ale, back to the beer review now. I've you know, given an update. Didn't want to go too long and too much, but yeah, I feel much better. We're going to Ingemel's tomorrow. In the bloody heat though. God, all of a sudden it's ramped up the heat. It's gone from that low 20s again, back up to that 30 something tomorrow. So, ooh. We're on the East Coast though, so hopefully there'll be a bit more of a breeze off the sea, you'd hope, and it just keeps the temperature down a little bit. It always seems to be a bit cooler at the seaside than it does at home. So hopefully that happens. We'll see one way or the other. But anyway, Muntons Flagship, I mean, that has created, so it's like literally it's 30 quid for the kit, standard price of 30 quid. You may well pay for delivery, so again that might bump it up. If you've got a homebrew shop nearby or near-ish, I say go to the homebrew shop and you know, give them the business, especially if the prices are right. Obviously if someone's, you know, going overboard with prices, then you're obviously not going to. It's as simple as that. I mean, in a lot of ways, that is what the likes of Bombardier should be now. You know, it's a cracking. I'm not sure if it was an American amber. I think it is an American amber ale. so that it's a bit more pokey, a little bit more spicy, more fruity than a standard British amber ale. But I mean, I'm well impressed with the kit. I mean, just look at that, it's crystal clear, settled down nicely after a few weeks, giving you beer, I mean, for home brewers, giving that beer time to settle. It's a strange thing really, because with commercial brewing, they don't really give it a long time to settle. They'll give it a couple of weeks maybe, but because obviously they haven't got vast space and vast amount of tanks to keep beer going, then they'll chuck it into cask, and they'll put it into cask for a few days, get that secondary fermentation going, and then from there it gets delivered to pubs, and they'll give it a time to settle again, and then they'll vent it. And as I've done these things now, you know, it's always interesting, that side of things. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. I think it's, I mean, when you look at the beer, I mean, let's be fair, if it's cost me £1, it's cost me, what? Is it 30 something pints? So we're probably looking at roughly £1 a pint, but it delivers on that. I mean, look at that. That just looks the absolute bomb. And sometimes I want to do more grain brewing, but when I look at the effort that goes into grain brewing, and I look at the effort that goes into making that, you know, a fraction of the effort, that 10% of the effort overall, and much more, you get much more out of it. I always find with the all grain route that you never get quite as much out of the beer as what you really wanted to. Well, they're thinking about home grain, all grain. Now I remember at Alter Ego, this is, and this is something I want to do. I want to do an Happy Drinkers Imperial Stout. Get anybody round who wants to come round to help. We'll have a drink. I'll try not to knacker it up, and show them how to do an Imperial Stout brew. And probably redo a rebrew of my Sticky Toffee. But what I remember is, and I remember this from Alter Ego, so on the fermentation side of things, they have the beer. So it just done the fermentation, mashing rather, and before the sparge, he took out the 20 litres or 25 litres out of the tank. That went straight into another barrel, and the ABV on that was seriously off the charts. Now, you could possibly do the same thing, albeit you really need a bigger fermentation bucket, really. But off an impy stout, take off a couple of litres, and obviously you're going to have to ferment that, but that should be unbelievable ABV. And then sparge it. But I've just thought about something with sparging. So when I do the sparge process, having the hydrometer in the bucket at that time, to keep an eye on what we want to project. Keep doing the sparge until there's that much liquid in there, and keep an eye on that, so that before you know, we might bring we might bring the we might bring the percentage down a bit, but down to a level that we're happy with, but obviously getting a lot more volume, and obviously sparging it, you're getting the sugars off that. Yeah, it's an interesting thought in that. Whether that would work or not, I don't know. I do fancy doing the Citra Pale Ale. I did well at the first ever beer that I did on all grain, because that was absolutely stunning. So yeah, in essence, I'm all good. Very good, actually, very good. It's amazing how not being at work makes you all good. But when I'm at work and doing the stuff I like doing, I'm super good, and I just need to ignore. And certainly don't come home and hit the booze, because that's not the answer, never was. And I don't really do it, because most of the time I'm working, and just learn to, I need to use my music more, music and Harry Potter books and that sort of thing, because it just takes my mind off. I can't control what my mind thinks. It's in my subconscious, I just can't do it. But we all have our own ways of dealing with stress, anxiety, and for some people, not drinking at all is an absolute godsend. For some people, you know, doing drugs. There's a million ways. Thinking positive is one of the ways to do it, but it's not always as easy as just thinking positive. Trust me, I've done that. And that was in the years when I didn't drink at all. So. I am immensely happy with how that's turned out. I've got so many bottles left. I'm going to save them for the happy drinkers. 2 holidays we've got coming up, meetups as it were. But that is immense. Oof. Although I've got to drink the rest of the bottle, because now I've stirred it up a bit, it's got to be drank. So whereas that bit, and this is bottle conditioning for you, whereas that bit was crystal clear, that bit will be more hazy. But it doesn't bother me in the slightest. But yeah, really happy with that, and happy to be back to normal. And yeah, it's amazing how a few days off work and away from it rebuilds the strength to battle elements out there. Not watching the news helps as well. God, my God, the news. Jesus Christ. It's a cesspit out there, isn't it, the world? An absolute cesspit. The Muppets are in charge of the world at the moment. Anyway, I'm done. Thank you for watching.